And up next, we have Optometry, another hot video from you from Dr. Pak Seong Woon. He's the current president of the Asia Optometric Congress, and he has a wealth of knowledge on the ins and outs of practicing optometry in Asia. So if you're a young optometrist starting out, or even if you have an established practice and are looking for tips to improve or enhance your business, this is a must-watch. Let's roll the video.
Hey, Pak Seong, nice to see you again. And it was great catching up with you at your clinic in KL last week.
Thank you so much, Matt, for coming and visiting. It's good, so good to see you in person.
Oh, absolutely. And, I'm really glad I got to see that clinic, Vision Space Optometrists in action. And I figured, that would be a great topic for us to talk about today for young optometrists who are looking to strike out on their own.
Being an optometrist, you own your own practice. You have a freedom to do pretty much whatever you want, your dreams, your hopes, and so on, and you're able to learn a lot by adapting best practices all around the world.
Well, so what was it like branching out and starting your own practice?
Starting up on my own was scary. As you know, we don't learn the business of optometry in our optometry school. And you're also managing your finances, because you're really trying to be very prudent to make every dollar count, and because you do not have so much of it, it forces you to do things that you normally won't do. I went around the neighborhood, just get to know the neighbors better. Even though was not, I was kind of an introvert, but yet got to know the neighborhood, purchase things from them, get to know them, introduce them, visiting the ophthalmologists. None of this, which was what I would do if I've not started out my own practice. The more I do it, the more I felt comfortable. The more I felt, hey, I can do this.
I agree with you. I mean, having, built the business of Media Mice, I felt like one of the key things that happened over the years were aspects of character building, because as you build your own character, it almost helps to level up the business in tandem. Did you find that as well?
There's so many skills to learn, and everything was just such a rush. And you're learning how to manage your practice. You learn the business side of it. You need to learn marketing part of it. You need to have leadership to lead your people. You have to create culture and so on.
What would you describe as the building blocks of a successful practice when you're starting out?
I would suggest that you work for someone first, build up your customer service skills, build up your professional skills. When I was working for people, I actually behave as if I own the practice. I relieve my employer of as much as possible. So there is already an attitude that you are running the practice. In terms of like marketing and business and all these things, you've got to learn from someone else. So I was really fortunate to join this network of business owners. They are business owners of different types of businesses. They do jewelry, they do pest control, lawyers. So it's good to surround yourself with business owners whom you can trash your ideas, you can ask them, and people like to be asked, how do you do it, and that kind of thing. I think it saves yourself from a lot of mistakes.
We're all based in the Asia Pacific region, which comes with its own unique challenges and opportunities. What are some specific challenges of opening up a practice in APAC versus, let's say, somewhere else in the world?
Each country is so different. So for example, like places like Hong Kong and Singapore, where rentals are just so expensive. Whereas in Malaysia, if you choose to practice in a mall, then your rentals will be high. But if you choose to practice not in a mall, then rentals are, I would say, reasonable. But it comes with its challenges as well. If you open your practice in a mall and therefore you have traffic, and therefore it's easier to build much faster because you have so much traffic passing by if you're not in the mall, then what will happen is there's not that many, not much traffic and so on. So you will have to build it a different way. Within APAC region, people still think that, optometry is just pure selling of glasses and so on, and they don't touch on eye health. So that's the challenge. They can't see the difference between primary eye care practice versus a regular practice that dispense glasses only.
It looked like it requires a lot of investment to, have an ophthalmic clinic. Whereas an optometric clinic, you wouldn't have to invest as much going into it. You don't have the equipment like, excimer lasers, which could be $500,000. So I wonder if in a way that plays to the advantage of optometrists that might be starting out without, angel investors or what have you, because as businessmen, maybe to get started, again, it's easier to get involved in a local market. What do you think?
I didn't start with all these fancy equipments. I started with basic equipments that I could use to at least do a proper examination of the eye health. When I first started up, I bought new equipments. Had I started again, I thought, hey, some of these equipments doesn't have to be new. It has to do the job well, but it doesn't have to be new. So there would be people who have maybe your seniors or other practices who are upgrading, and therefore their older equipment, maybe it's about 3 to 4 years, which works still quite fine, and they could upload it, unload it to you for a much cheaper cost, and you can provide great service at a much lower, investment in equipment.
Moving over to the power of social media, what does that really do for your business in terms of exposure?
I'm not that young, and I noticed that those younger optometrists are so much better using TikTok, using Instagram, and so on. I try to stay relevant, so we do have someone who is. I used to do it myself, but now we outsource our Facebook marketing, Instagram marketing, and so on. I think it's just to stay abreast, to let them know that we are around. One thing that works really well is to have a good website and to do SEO and to invest in Google Ads and so on, because that's where people who are searching for eye care services and so on are going to look. I mean, you may have a fantastic practice, but if people can't find you, and that's not good,
I spoke a little bit about ophthalmology here. What kind of relationship do you have with your fellow ophthalmologists in Malaysia?
I have a very good working experience with the ophthalmologist, pretty much because we are interested in catching eye diseases from people who would not go to an ophthalmologist. Some people will feel that I don't have a red eye, I'm seeing pretty okay, it's not that blurry. There's no reason for them to go and to visit an ophthalmologist. Guess what? They do come to us for their glasses, and they do regular visits. So for example, like they come in once a year or once in every 2 years. In terms of kids, they come and visit us every 6 months. So we take that opportunity to do the whole barrage of the eye health screening. And guess what? We have managed to pick up eye diseases, which we can refer to the ophthalmologist in time. If it's in the case of cataract, we'll be able to tell our patient that this is not the time to do glasses anymore. You will be better served by an ophthalmologist. And in that sense, if we know that we can work in partnership with the ophthalmologist, they will love this relationship. Ophthalmologists are also looking for good people who can take care of their patients as well. So for example, if they have a screened or if they have something else, then they can communicate easy for us and for us to know what to do with them as well. So it's actually a very good and healthy relationships, and it's good to have. In fact, some of them you even have their private phone number in your mobile phone. Why? Because sometimes there are emergencies. And it could happen in the middle of night when your patient has something, a corneal ulcer or, a glaucoma attack and so on, or it could be the weekends. So it's good to give them a ring and say, I've got this case and so on and so forth. And they are very supportive about it.
Do you have any advice for other countries around the region in terms of helping to sustain relationships between ophthalmologists and optometrists? Because I know the heritage out there in Southeast Asia, the relationships aren't always as strong as they are in Malaysia. How can others improve those relationships?
As we build those relationships, we have a lot of dialogues. We have a lot of maybe workshops together, so the ophthalmologist knows what we do, and we also know what the ophthalmologist can do. I think as optometrists, we also have to know what are our limits as well. For example, like my case, if my patient sees an ophthalmologist, I will tell them, please continue seeing an ophthalmologist. Don't come to see me and stop seeing your ophthalmologist, because we work together. Yeah. And we have to assure the ophthalmologist that we know what we're doing, and we know our limits and what we can do to support them. A lot of ophthalmologists are getting optometrists to work with them in their clinics. So by that, they can actually witness and see for themselves what the optometrists are capable of.
And around the region, which countries do you think are strong in optometry, and which countries do you think have a ways to go?
I think all of us have different levels to go to. I think Hong Kong is pretty strong. Their optometrist is pretty strong. I know for sure Philippines, their level of optometry is pretty high. Those who graduate as optometrists in Singapore as well is pretty high as well. Malaysia. Indonesia has just started the optometry program. So they are coming up. I'm happy to say that Vietnam is producing optometrists, and I know quite a number of them personally. And it's such a joy to see them grow. Thailand has an optometry doctor program, so they're coming out. And they're new, not like, for example, like in Malaysia, we are easily 20 plus years old when we have started producing optometrists. I think Thailand is just pretty recent. Indonesia is pretty recent. Philippines has done it for a long time. Vietnam just did it recently. Laos has not started an optometry program yet. I think Cambodia is still some way to go. Yeah, but I may be wrong, I still need to get this. That's what I think.
Well, it sounds like a lot of ripe space for the expansion of Vision Space Optometrists. So congratulations on your clinics there in Malaysia. And we certainly welcome you out here in the world.
Thank you very much.